Now, the gold standard of reproducible hypothesis-driven science is the registered report. Now, this is a relatively new way of submitting scientific articles. I think up to 300 journals now, maybe even more, accept registered reports. And this is great. Like I remember learning this. This is the science that I learned in high school, in that you make a hypothesis and you test your hypothesis, and then you actually see did it actually match, or was it actually consistent? Because there was a long while that science was not going down that path. But with the registered report model, essentially your proposal or your manuscripts are assessed in two stages. In the first stage, your proposal is assessed just with the rationale and just with the analysis. So with this particular model, the reviewers can actually see, okay, how risky are these predictions? You can actually see if the hypotheses are too broad, and then as a reviewer, you would go, your hypotheses are too broad. And then you can give that feedback. And then if they make it to stage 2, then the papers are going to be published regardless of the results, which I think is critical for science. Yeah, it's a fantastic way of doing hypothesis-driven research. And for me, as a reviewer, they're my favorite papers to review, because I'm actually able to, you can't change an experiment that's already been run. It's very difficult to actually say, well, you should have done this, because it's already happened in the past. But with a registered report, you can propose changes to the experimental design before the data collection actually happens. And what happens is the reviewers at the second stage actually check, did the authors do what they say they were going to do? Did they, how precise are their hypotheses? Did they do the test they said they were going to do? It's a fantastic model. The funny thing about registered reports is they make null findings magically appear. So when you actually look at registered reports versus comparable traditional results, the percentage of null findings for registered reports are much higher. So it's a really stark demonstration of the difference between registered reports and traditional scientific papers. As well as significance and non-significance, registered reports also have this magical power of shrinking effect sizes. So this is a wonderful plot written, published in a paper published in 2019, which contrasts papers with pre-registration and without pre-registration. And the papers that were pre-registered tend to have smaller effect size. So this is interesting in the context of meta-analysis, because meta-analysis often takes effect sizes from articles that are not pre-registered, and these effect sizes are likely to be largely inflated. And people also use these articles for doing power analysis. And that's another reason why you should not use, or you should, when possible, avoid using prior research as a way of determining your effect size, because published effects, especially if they're not pre-registered, tend to be inflated compared to their true effect size. So that's another thing that pre-registration does, is it shrinks effect sizes. Look, many of you may have seen this this plot, or this pyramid. It's this so-called hierarchy of evidence, where it compares case reports and animal trials all the way up to meta-analyses. And it concludes that meta-analyses are the top of the evidence pyramid. I'm not sure this is particularly true anymore, or I don't necessarily believe in this. Whereas now, I think what's more impressive would be a meta-analysis of registered reports, where you're actually collecting different effect sizes from registered reports. Like I showed before, effect sizes from studies that are not pre-registered tend to be quite large. So if there was a collection of studies, or if there was meta-analysis which synthesized a number of papers from registered reports, then you'd be quite confident that those effect sizes are truthful, or those effect sizes are robust. So this is a new model with the status quo of research right at the bottom. And I think it's great that we're looking at ways that we can improve our research. And when it comes to hypothesis-driven research, which is what a lot of us do, the registered reports model is a fantastic way of doing that. So yeah.